before I start the tutorial, I want to go ahead and say this is the last part of the tutorial series, just to showcase how it will eventually turn out after the video is completed. It's the following. So if we press play, we have the async load, which essentially looks for all the assets and tries to load them after a couple of seconds until the experience is ready. And now if we go and interact with that chest, we can hold E to increase the hold duration, and once that completes, we send a bunch of gameplay queue notifies, both with the sound effects and VFX. When the chest opens, we spawn those classes we load in with the async load, and when we hold E, we have these cool pickup effects. And we can also, as well with the other chest, if we hold E and keep pressing E, we can both open the chest and continuously pick up the loot that are on the ground. So I'd say it's a pretty good recreation of the Stellar Braid loot interaction and pickups, but I guess you could call it the low budget version. But of course you can customize it however much you want until you're satisfied with it. Right, can go ahead and close the pickups now as well and just have the loot chest open. So let's see if we can make the chest pickup animation. For now, we'll just get a placeholder spawn actor from class as a test. So we'll say it's the pickup, and from the pickup, we want to make a new timeline. Call it pickup drop timeline. And for the track, we'll make it length of 1 and rename it to, call it pickup pulls. Back to the event graph, write the spawn transform. Let's go get the transform. Gameplay queue location. I think the gameplay queue location could be pretty good for it. Okay, so let's just reuse the gameplay queue location. Transform, relative transform, and hook that in. So if we do interact with it, we should spawn 1 pickup. Okay. The get transform. We have relative transform. We have the world transform. So let's try the world transform. Yeah, there we have our little pickup. Okay, so let's delete the relative transform, and we're gonna have the spawn actor pickup as the reference for this timeline. So opening up the timeline, adding 2 new points. So the first one at 0, 0, and the second one at 1 and 1. The value, both of them. Let's press the zoom to fit and the zoom to fit vertically. Select both the points, right click and press auto. Okay, let's save that. Well, actually, let's pick up drop timeline. Let's call this pulse alpha instead. Well, actually, let's get the chest corners, but I mean, I'll just add a new scene just in case. So, new scene, pick up location. The pickup location and put that into the transform instead. And let's copy it. Let's also check the pickup location so it's not exactly on the ground, but maybe it's like a bit inside the chest. Put this forward like that. I'll save but graph. So after we have the pickup location get world transform in place, what we can do is we can drag off from the spawn actor pickup and get a set world location, set actor location, so, and then add a new timeline. Drop timeline. From play, we will make a new track. Have one, and then the timeline name, you could just call it alpha. And from here, from alpha, we could time it by 180, so that will be the height. Oh no, sorry. We can time it by 180 and this will be the forward length, centimeters. And then we can multiply by P, get the sin in radians, multiply by 180 as well. This will be the height of the pickup. We'll also need to get a forward vector to tell it to go 180 centimeters forward based on the pickup location. Forward vector. Time it by a float. So right click and then convert to a float. And we can add it to the height. So from the height we can just say make vector. And in the vector we'll place it within the Z value. So, and then we will get the location again. I will get the location. Add the new location and the upward location to the getWord location, and we will set that as the new actor location. Now if we hook that up and play, didn't really animate, so let's see what the issue was. Right, so the issue was in the timeline. I forgot to add 2 new nodes, so let's put the first one to 0 and 0, and then the second one to 0 and 1. So, oh sorry, to 1 and 1 on the second node. And let's select both, right click auto, so we have a nice curve to it. So now it should work. Like that. So now what we'll do, we'll add a bit of randomness to the pickup spawn. So currently we're just getting the forward vector and giving it a height of 180 centimeters and then pushing the pickup forward by 180 centimeters. But what we're going to try to make is to, if I pick the pickup location, so you can see like a top-down view, if I rotate it to the right 80 degrees, it's plus 80 degrees, and if I put it minus 80 degrees, it's minus 80 degrees in the yaw. So that's what we're going to try to do, is to, between a value of 80 to minus 80, we'll pick a random location for this pickup to spawn from. So it's not always going to spawn forward, but it could spawn forward between any of those degree values. So back here, what we can do is create. I already have 2 variables called random yaw offset and pickup rotator. Now, because this is a new recording, just shortening this process up a bit, you already see that I have a bunch of new variables. The character, for example, we could delete since we are not using the character. But for the random yaw offset and pickup rotator will be handy. So just try to create a new variable and call it pick up yaw offset and make it, or you can rename it like random yaw offset. I'll just place a 2 afterwards because I already have the offset name, and make it of a type float. And for the pick rotator, you can also make a new variable and call it pick rotator, and also place a 2 there because I already have the pickup rotator. You can make it as a rotator, like so. I'll delete these 2 and just use the ones I already have. So get the random yaw offset into here and get the pickup rotator. That, and we get the pickup location, and we could get the get rotation, so get the rotation. We will split, and from here we need to get the yaw. So as we said before, let's just put a random float in range, similar to how I visually described, what we'll do is for the minimum, we'll say it's a minimum of, let's say it's a minimum of, so it's minus 80, and a maximum of maximum of 80, so we can add a plus here, so maximum of 80 degrees, and we'll hook the minimum into minimum and the maximum into maximum, and then we can get the random yaw offset, set it to here, and then we will run the random yaw offset, make row here, place it within the C, the yaw, and then we'll get the pickup rotator variable, we'll set it to the new value, like so. This will be the random location now for us. Collapse it. Note, pick up random rotation, call it that, and then I'll place it just right here in the middle so we can try it out. Drag the pickup rotator, get forward vector, we have compilation error. Oh, okay. Let's back up a bit. Create some space. Expand. Expand. And collapse this. Pick up random rotation. I need to do this as well. We'll connect the random yaw. Like so. And now try it out. Okay, and gave us a bit of a random direction. Let's try that again. Okay. Once more. Okay, that looks pretty good. So what we did here, so after the just full open, let's put this a bit forward, more visible. Yeah. So we just tested to spawn a pickup after the chest fully opens, with the pickup location being inside the chest, and then we set a random yaw offset between like 80 and minus 80, and that's basically from the pickup rotation, like the scene component. So if you can see at the right here, we have the rotation. If you go to the left, it's 80 and then minus 80. So that's our maximum rotation or random rotation that we are getting. So that's by going into this collapse node, getting the scene component pickup location, get world rotation, break the vector, and adding a plus minus 80 within the minimum and maximum random float and range. as setting that into the random yaw offset, and then the random yaw into the yaw pin in the make rotator, and then return that and set the pickup rotator variable. And then within here we just replace the get forward vector, because we already have the pickup location, but we're also randomizing the rotation in here. So instead of just picking the forward vector, we're just choosing the rotation. And then we have the max height here, and the max forward distance and the max height. We're adding them both together with the rotation, and we're adding it into the pickup world rotation, and then setting it as a new location for the spawned pickup. And we could also check the interaction. So if you hold E, we see that we can't really interact with the pickup. This is where the event dispatcher comes in that we created within the pickup actor. Mainly this call that we have binded. So we're not calling it yet. This is just the manual. If you place it in the world manually, we need to call it again within the loot chest. So we've already binded it. So in the loot chest, so after the animation finishes, we can basically say, just to test it out, we can say call, and then you have the call initial pickup on finish. So when the animation finish, we can call it. Let's try it out while still holding E. Nice. And we can even try it by not continuously holding E. So I've just released it, and now I can hold E. We picked it up. Okay, so we're really almost done. I'll clean up by removing the call initiate pickup. We can save everything as is. I mean, we could also comment it to be more precise. Let's say set pickup animation height. And here we could say set animation, set pickup distance. Remove the animation, so set pickup height, set pickup animation, oh sorry, set pickup height, set pickup distance. And then here we could say set apply random pickup rotation. Since we're always facing forward when it drops, so it never drops behind the chest, we can also say apply random pickup forward rotation. And let's color it as well. So and then let's bring them down a bit, and let's say let's actually collapse these nodes and say calculate pickup animation math. let's go in here a bit. Both of these are alpha. We could delete the first one. We could say alpha. I just connect it back in here again. On the return, let's call this vector apply random pickup forward. Let's pick up distance, apply random pickup forward rotation, random pickup forward rotation distance. And the bottom one could be up height. We back out again. Let's disconnect the removed alpha field. Compile and save. And we're adding these into the get world rotation, get world location. And then we're setting the pickup location. So let's go into the blueprints folder, chest, and create a okay, so I'll go into creating a new blueprint now and search for primary data asset, and let's just call it DA loot chest spawnable pickups. So we can go ahead and delete the loot chest spawnable pickups. That was wrong of me. What we need to do now is to search for data asset and search for this one, the one we just created. So let's select DA spawnable. I'll just rename this one to loot chest spawnables, and this one to spawnable, to DA to spawnable pickups. And let's open up the blueprint and add a new variable of type pickups. Search for pickup, object reference, soft class reference. Save that. Now we can go into the spawnable DA. We have the pickup, so now we can actually choose the B pickup. But what we're going to do now is to list how many pickups we want to include. So within the third person, let's make a couple of pickups. So then the pickups, let's create a child blueprint class and call it B pickup module. The new child, call it B pickup. Call this one maybe a circuit. And let's make a new one. So I'll make like 5 pickups, 5 child pickups, and I'll speed this process up because this is just me making children and naming those childs. So it'll just take a second. Okay, now I'll also go in each and one of them, and I will change the colors because we have, for example, the pickups. You can change the material, like the base material, and you can also change the VFX colors here. And I'll go ahead and do that for all the pickups, so this process will also be sped up. Okay, so now that I have all my pickups ready, all colored, what I'll do is I'll head back into the blueprints chest and go into the spawnable pickups. We could make this an array as well, so heading back into the blueprints of the chest spawnable data asset, we can make this of type array. That way, if we add a pickups within the data asset now, we can add multiple. And what I'm gonna do is I'm only going to pick the child classes, so the circuit, data core, fragment, module, and the shards. So just to remind as to why I'm only picking 5 is because for the pickups I currently have 5 nodes, so I can't really say that I can have a pickup sound effect longer than 5, but maybe if you have like a design concept in mind that you can pick up maybe 10, 20 pickups, then just have like enough note sounds for up to 10 pickups. That should work. But for now I just have 5 notes, so after 5 it resets to the first note again, so that's why I'm going with only 5. So okay, so now that we have that, let's go back into the loot chest. And now, within the begin play, let's line these things up a bit, so it's nice and tidy, because we're going to use the begin play a bit, so dragging off the begin play. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is to drag from the event begin play and drag it a bit out, and let's call the let's put the case sensitive as well, so let's call async over just the load asset, and you have the async load asset. So let's put it in here, and then for the asset we want the data table we created that holds all these classes, and for the object we're going to cast to spawnable, so the DA loot chest spawnable, so the blueprint version of the DA, and then from here we want to get the pickups. Oh, also make sure it's going from completed to the cast, and then from the cast, from the pickups, we'll do it for each loop, and from the array element we'll get the async load class assets, and then cast to, you could do actor class, but you can be a lot more specific and just say the up class, and then we can store it as a add unique. So we'll have a array here of type pick, or as a spawnable pick up classes. Save that. What we can do here as well is we can put the from async load asset the continue node into the initial setup, so we'll let that run how it should run. Let's put them down a bit like so. So the blueprint will run as is, but we'll also async load a bunch of classes in here, but we won't spawn them yet. We'll do despawning soon. So once this is completed, we'll go down here where the timeline is, and we can say get spawnable pickup classes and spawn. We can get a for each basically loop through the classes, so we can put the array element into the spawnable actors, loop through it. So let's place it in line, let's make it a bit more prettier as an onFinish execute for each loop, and we'll loop the body, we'll spawn, and then when we have spawned all of them, we don't need to actually play the animation, but we could see how the animation looks. Let's just try it out first. So again, we load the assets on begin play, and then only when we interact with the chest, when it is fully open, we will spawn these pickups. The DAX. Didn't really spawn anything. Let's check what's going on here. Right, so the async load class asset, we need to drag from completed into cast to pickup class. Now if we try, so we only got one, and the rest are still inside of here. The animation played once. Let's do this instead. So spawn them. Yes. And then instead of we'll spawn them, and then let's make a new array. Pick up all classes. We'll say from here add unique into a new array, and let's call this array spawned pickups. We'll save it, and we'll just drag everything down here, and then on completed we'll set the random yaw offset. Let's see what we could do. We could pick rotator, play timeline, do all of that. We're not really too fond of the for each loops, but we could take the spawned actors and then for each loop, and we can place it here like so. So we'll get from the completed, and then we'll loop. So it loops one, place the animation. Well, we could try this. Let's see. Let's make a custom event, and let's call it custom event. Let's call it spawned pick up event. Make that for the each loop. Let's use a timer by event instead. So timer by event. Event. Let's say the time it fires is every 0. Or every second, and we'll loop it. And the function is the spawned pickup event. And let's mode it to a variable. Let's call it pickup animation timer handle. Okay, so let's do this a bit cleaner. Let's open up the parent pickup, and in here in the initiate pickup we can add a new parameter, and then we can take a scene component, or let's see what we actually need to play the animation. So dilute chest, don't need the current loop, don't need the timer check. We'll leave this one as is. We can just check the what we actually are calculating. So we're calculating the random rotator. Let's remove the timer and the timer by handle. And then after the pickup spawn, call the, well, actually we can keep this event here. We'll call the spawn pickup event. Then this event, we will place a couple of we need to set the random yaw and the rotator. We can add a rotator for the custom event. Got it. Pick up rotator. That we'll paste that in there. And now for the timeline, let's see what the timeline takes from the loot chest. It gets the pickup location, so that's important to get. So let's copy the pickup location as well. Let's add a new input. Let us make it a vector. The pickup location into the pickup location. Let's see what more could be important to get. Let's look inside the calculate pickup animation math. We have the pickup rotator here. We could add it in the input, or we can add a new input and call it pick up rotator. And make it of type rotator. Right, and let's just paste that in there instead and delete the pickup rotator. Now if we go back, we can do a simple for each here. For each loop, get the spawned pickups, and let's just print, see if we get all the references. Yep, so we have all the pickup references. From here we can call initiate pickup. And for the initiate pickup we need the we just need a rotator and a location. Can remake this a bit. Initiate pickup event. We can call this one instead initiate pickup animation. That. And by selecting the dispatcher, we can select a rotator, that pickup rotator. The new input as of type vector, and that is the pickup location. Could not find pin for parameter pickup location, delegate. So we have that. We'll delete the call initial pickup animation from here. That's going to be another custom event. Call like set timer by event. We don't need an event actually. We can, or like we don't need a timer. We can just make a custom event. So custom event. So the enabling of the collisions will all go to here. We can call it enable pick up. And let's call enable pickup here if we're manually setting it in the level. Like that. Let's go into the loot chest and hook the rotator and the location into the call initial pickup animation. And let's copy much everything, right? The get roll rotation. Yes, so let's copy and go into the pickup, paste it, play the animation, and here we can add the rotator, and in here we can add the pickup location. We forgot to rename it, so just it's weird that the event didn't change the name. The name is changed here though, and in the call as well. Not the event. Let's call the event again. Okay, now the name is correct. So let's play the animation. Let's hook it up, or let's hook it up to the bind, and then the rotator back into the rotator. Pickup location to here. We can delete the pickup location since that information is sent from the loot chest now to the pickup. And the target is self. So once the animation finishes, we can go ahead and enable the pickup. Now within the loot chest, looks like everything seems to be hooked up. We go and play. So everyone seems to like to pick the same location. So a fix we can do, instead of instead of sending the rotator into the custom event, disconnect it from here. Like so, and drag it down. We can disconnect that pin. We can remove the rotator from the custom event. The location can be as is because we don't make it random. Make it a bit spacier. And now let's put the rotator and the for each. So hopefully that will fix it. Some. We can, if you want, we can even put a delay here so it acts a bit more cooler. So find, we will play the animation in a delay. So let's put a delay and then random delay or random float. Random float in range within the pickup. I will say minimum is 0.2 and maximum is 1. Nice. Okay, so looks a bit more random and cooler. And when this finishes, it's pickupable, so and a new dispatcher. So instead of on completed, we do that, or I think for now that's okay. We can put the enabled collision on completed animation. The only issue would be that whatever finishes first is pickupable instead of everyone reaching the ground and then being able to pick them up. So if I hold E, I guess that still works because we have the 1 second delay on the sphere overlaps, so it wasn't too bad. I'm just gonna go and delete a couple of print strings, as you can see if I press play. We have the GCN is working. I really want that. So let's go to content GCN, I believe it was in the pickups, and then the pickup interaction here. Let's disconnect that. And now hold E. was the 5 nodes that I had. Let's see if it resets at these pickups. Awesome. We can tidy up a lot. We can put, let's see, we can do, oh, also, got to mention, so let's delete these things. Let's also check if we have any remaining references to the current loop. We can delete the timer, we can delete the rotator, we can keep random yaw, we can keep max hold, so all of these we can keep. However, the chest lid, this one, we can place it here. So after we send the spawned pickup event, we'll enable the lid collision. Okay, that's done. I wonder if you can collapse the spawn actor to function. You can. Okay. What about the for loop? The for loop does not go into a function. So we can collapse the spawn actor to a function. Spawn pick up actors. And let's see what more we can do. Let's put this into a collapse node. Async load pick up class. Can this a bit up like so. Now we can put it closer. The initial setup can be as is. The wait gameplay events. I don't think, can you put this into a function? You cannot. Okay, so we'll leave that. Leave all of them, but we could probably do this into a function. Let's see where the interaction successful takes us. Into the timeline flow. Here we can say set collision enable it. Collision. So the hold duration is met. Collapse to function. Disable loot chest interaction. if we can put the tcn into a function, we can. Okay, let's keep that as a function. So collapse to function and call it spawn just half open, or spawn just half open suffix. I believe timelines do not go into a function, so that needs to be kept out here, but we can kind of make it a bit neater by saying custom event. Let's call this just half open animation. And let's call the just half open animation there. Under, and that will play the just animation, and then when it's done, we will play the just full animation. So another custom event, just full open animation. Let's collapse this into a function as well. So collapse the function, spawn just full open VFX. And from finish, let's call the just full open animation. Just full. Let's connect the just full open animation. Put the comment on where this should be. And the same here, so just full open. We'll make a custom event and call spawn pickups. Spawn all pickups. Search for spawn all pickups. Connect it here. Let's bring it down here and connect it as well. Since the for each loop cannot go into a function, we'll keep it like that. And then on completed, keep these net. And we are done pretty much to clean up. Okay, so that's done. Pickups also look pretty good. So after recording, there's some things I've forgotten to mention. And within the loot chest, if you close the project and open it up again, you'll see in the spawn all pickups, you'll have the for each loop, and then within the spawn pickup actors, your spawn actor will return an error. And basically what it will say is that the class is trying to reference is not supported. Don't really know why it does that yet. you could type isValid class here. Be extra safe. And then on the true, spawn it. But it might still turn up red. For the, let's see, the async load pickup class in here, there's two things to take into account. Firstly, the soft object pointer might not return the correct list, so instead of it choosing the first one, second one, and third one, it might be a bit more random with the sorting, so it might take the second one as the first and the fourth one as the second. For the setup, it's not really an issue because we're just telling it to get the pointers and spawn them, so we're not really worried about the sorting part of it. However, the casting, the resulting array may cause some sort of race condition, so there needs to be some sort of tracking of the loading process. You could make maybe a component that does that for you, or a new C++ class. But for my case, just to be safe, I'm just going to go back to the event graph, and I'll do a timer by event, and I'll disconnect the async from here, and I'll just create a event, and I'll call this I'll make it an event. I'll call this async load assets. Within here, I'll connect it, and for the time, we can make it a bit random. So if you have like hundreds of chests, it won't spawn everything at the same time. So you could make a range, or range load range, and we can say the minimum should be 1 second, depending on how long you want to wait. Maybe the game is actually ready at 2 seconds, let's say 2 seconds, and then maximum 5 seconds. So within the 2 seconds and 5 seconds, we will try to load all the pickups. We could even make it higher, so maybe like 10 seconds or 20 seconds, anywhere between 2 and 20. But that's just the case of how far your chest placement is from the character. So if you begin the game and it takes maybe roughly a couple of minutes to reach the chests, a higher number would be probably better. But I'll keep mine from 1 to 5, and then when the time is met, it will trigger the async load asset event, and this is isolated, so the timer will be red, but it will still continue with the initial setup. The async load will just trigger at a later time. Okay, and the last thing I have forgotten to mention is the go to all content GCN. We have forgotten to add the whoosh sound effects. So similar to the GCM pickup interaction. So we need to create a new blueprint class and search for gameplay queue and choose the gameplay queue notify actor blueprint. GCN on whoosh. Within here, the event, search for event handle gameplay queue. And within the gameplay queue, what we could do is we can let the chest handle it instead of the oops. So once the call is initiated, we can make a new event called push you notify spawn whoosh, and after the call initiate pickup animation, we can call the event. So send GCM pickup spawn whoosh and event, and say gameplay. What did we choose here? The SFX. We chose the execute gameplay queue on actor first. Say gameplay queue. Execute gameplay queue on actor first. We can go back into the chest huffle and then just, I guess better yet, let's copy all of them. So let's make a new gameplay queue tag. So within the pickup, and then you sub tag for the pickup. Let's call I call it spawn it depends how you want to call it. You could just call it spawn, or you could call it spawn whoosh or spawn sound. I'm just gonna go with spawn. Let's add a new tag and select the spawn. We can keep the location as is. So in the new GCN spawn whoosh, class settings, or sorry, the class defaults, down. And within the gameplay queue, let's check the spawn tag we just created. And from here, I'll save and then go into the content, SFX. We have the pickup pushes, which is basically the Lyra pistol whips. Let's create a new. Let's create a new meta sound. So meta sound source. Let's push in here. We'll create a new input of type wave asset, and we'll make it type array. Now we can also go into the SFX click here. We can copy what we had here, reference. We can paste it in. So we have the wave player, we have the random float, like the input into both of them, and then the out mono into the out left, and on finished into the on finished. We can back to our pickup whoosh, we can select all of them, or also select the input, select all our whooshes, put it inside the array, and drag the inputs in, and here we can type shuffle. We can say shuffle, play with the value inside the wave player. Don't really hear anything, maybe it's just the disconnect the input from the shuffle to the next. I have random sound. We could maybe lower the random float to 5 to instead. Now it sounds a bit more random. Save that. Actually, now that I think about it, because we're already setting it to random, we don't need to tell the sound what random sound to play. So we don't need the current GCN we created. If we go back to content, GCN, pickup, let's copy the name and just delete it. Yes, delete, don't need you. A new blueprint, gameplay queue, and let's pick the GCN notify on burst. And let's call it the same. Alright, so we will make a new burst sound and placement info override attached to target world. Checking the it's attached to target keep world. Yep, okay, it's good. And now let's place our sound effect that we created. So spawn, what was it? Whoosh. Let's pick up whoosh. Save. Then the loot chest. Now we'll trigger that gameplay queue. We also need to specify in the gameplay queue tab within the GCN spawn. And now it should play that sound. Let's see if I do it from each other. Something E. Right. Probably wondering why it didn't work. It's because we have our loot chest here with a random float in range, so we can't really do it as quickly. So let's just print string, or let's put that back in actually. Delete, or we don't need to delete it, we can put the output here. We can bring and say async sets loaded. We can put the seconds to 5. Play, just wait. Okay. Looks like everything is loaded now. So if we hold E, okay, so I figured out the issue of why it wasn't spawning. There was a typo from my end. So when we do the timer, we have the async load asset event triggering, and then we have the async load pickup class, and then if it's completed, we print the string, and I'll show you how to also rename it to completed. You just have to, at the end, have the output, and then when you select the output, you can also search for output if you do not have one. But in here, on the outputs, you can rename it to completed. So the thing to note is once the async load asset completes, you cast it to the B pickup class, and then you make an array. So when you add unique, you promote this to a variable. So right click promote the variable, but just make sure the variable is of type B pickup. And then if you go back and I scroll down to the spawn all pickups, you see that we have the class variable. We loop it, and then we insert the array element into the spawn pickup actors function, and you can name it pickup class, and just make sure it's of type B pickup. I believe mine was just the actor class, which was why I got a bunch of errors from the call initiate pickup animation, because the actor itself doesn't have that. It's only the custom actor, the spawnable pickup, that has that dispatcher. So once that's hooked up, it should be fine. I also removed the branch check here if it was successful. But you could keep the branch if you would like. And then from here, what we could do is when we do spawn it, so for each spawn, we'll send a GCM pickup spawn whoosh, and it's basically this. And we can also collapse it to a function and call spawn whoosh. And now, if we press play, we will wait a couple of seconds until everything is loaded. It's over. Let's go over to the chest and hold E. We see that it spawns the loot. But, you did notice that it played the sound once, or maybe it was all of them all at once. We could, instead of having it within the loop, I believe the loop is really quick. We can remove the event from here and we can just say copy the execute and the make gameplay queue parameter. We can copy that. We can go into the pickup set. Let's spawn it for each pickup. And a good place to put it is actually before the animation plays, because then we have the location play with. Execute gameplay after the small delay. Let's put the pickup location within the location. And let's take a look here. We have the self as instigator. So we'll grab cell, the pickup, place it within the execute gameplay queue on actor, as well as the instigator. And for the target attach component, we can keep a reference. So yeah, we can actually keep a reference to just our default scene. With the scene, with the pickup scene. And let's try it out now. Wait, the assets haven't loaded yet. Now it's finished. Now we can back with it. Now we have let's also clean up the pickup. So in the loot chest, we called it spawn pickup whoosh. We can copy the name and do the same. So we'll select all the gameplay queue nodes and collapse the function and call it the same spawn pickup whoosh SFX. So and we're pretty much good to go. Within the loot chest, we don't need the custom GCN anymore that we just created. We can delete it. And now it looks pretty good. Now just to test when we restart to see if we have those errors or not remaining, we can compile and save all, close out of it. And I'll press F5 to launch my game again. Now going back into the game feature level. Press yes to open up the blueprints again. So we don't have the errors again, but we usually would have had in the spawn pickup actors here, because we are referencing the right class. And if we play, we see that we're waiting for the assets to load, and everything seems to be loaded successfully now. Interact with the chest. Unlucky drop. And for the last chest, let's press C and hold E. So now we have a feature complete loot chest. And from this point on, it's up to you how much you want to customize it. I'm going to leave it as is. So I hope this video has been quite helpful, and thanks for watching.